Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about the easiest options for getting onto a visa pathway to a second passport in Europe if you're an entrepreneur. Now on this channel I've talked about the various investor visa options, but in this series I'm focusing on the startup visa and the processing times. In this particular video, the processing times that are involved, and we're going to look at the average processing times and the maximum processing times. So let's start with the UK. I'm beginning with the UK because although the UK has exited the European Union, it's still very much part of the European family. And the processing time for the startup visa is 3 weeks. I've been through yesterday the criteria, so that of innovation, viability and scalability. In the UK, of course, you begin with the startup visa for 2 years and then switch on to the innovator visa, and that's an accelerated pathway to permanent residence that the government has set up to incentivize genuine entrepreneurs to come to the UK. There's an update on that actually. I'm going to do in tomorrow's live stream. I'm going to give you an update on the legislative changes around that. So that's number one. So 3 weeks is the processing time for that. The next is Portugal, and in Portugal the maximum processing time for the startup visa is 30 days. Again, I spoke in yesterday's live stream about the criteria, very similar to the UK, so innovation, growth, potential, scalability. You've also got to show a value add to Portugal. The third option for a startup visa in Europe that would put you on a pathway to a second passport is in France, and the maximum processing time for the initial visa is 3 to 4 months. In the case of France, you've got to obtain a certificate from the Ministry of Economy acknowledging its innovative nature, and you do that through securing the support of an incubator who would support you in that assessment. The next option is Latvia, and the maximum processing time there is 1 month. So it's very fast for their startup visa. The applicant must comply with the definition of a startup company. I dealt with this in a bit more detail yesterday, and you've got to have a scalable business model. The next processing time is that for the Latvia startup visa, and that's an average processing time of 1 month, and the maximum is 2 months. And in that case, you need a credible business plan, and the criteria are quite similar to the others that I've reviewed here. The next is that of Ireland, and Ireland is of particular interest to me. I do have clients who are going through various visa routes in Ireland. The startup visa is one of them. The only reservation I have about the startup visa routes is that the decision delivered by the committee that assesses them can be a little inconsistent, and it's harder than in other jurisdictions to determine what they're looking for. But typically, fintech, edtech, medtech companies will succeed. Now, the processing time is a shorter one, but in Ireland there's actually an initial visa that you can secure to come to work with the incubator before applying for the main startup visa. So the next jurisdiction is Finland, which we reviewed again in yesterday's live stream, and there's no maximum time limit, but the average processing time for the startup visa there is 1 month, and the criteria are similar. You've got to have an innovative, scalable business model with market growth potential, and you've got to have the potential to scale internationally. The next option is Estonia. There you've got to have a minimum viable product, and the processing time there is a maximum of 30 days, and 2 months for the residence permit, but on average it takes less than that. The next best jurisdiction for the startup visa is the Netherlands, where you're looking at processing time between 7 weeks and 90 days. You've got to have a service or product that's innovative, and that means you've got to hit one of these criteria here. So either it's new to the Netherlands, or new technology has been used in its production or distribution or marketing, or you have an innovative organizational, structural, working method. The next best startup visa is for Italy, and here you're looking at various timeframes. So 1 month for receiving your initial certificate, and then within 3 months of the date of issue for receiving the 1-year visa, and then after collection of the visa you have 180 days to move to Italy and then apply for a 1-year self-employment residence permit. On all of these routes, I'll also be doing a separate live stream about the time frame to settlement and also the time frames for citizenship. And in different countries, there's different requirements for speaking the local language. So I'm going to deal with that separately. Now, for Cyprus, the processing time is very fast, about 10 calendar days on average. And in the case of Cyprus, you do need to already have an up and running business, and that's with their way of validating your idea. For Spain, you've got to demonstrate innovative activity and added value for the Spanish economy. Job creation is not mandatory, but it is considered when looking at your application and your business plan. And the average processing time is around 18 days, and the maximum being 20 days. So again, it's quite fast. And then last but not least is Lithuania, and the average processing time is a month, 30 days. And this is one of the most challenging startup visa routes in Europe. They're really looking for biotechnology, nanotechnology, information technology businesses, in addition to fintech and the other areas that I've mentioned. So most of my clients secured startup visas within certainly within a month of submitting their applications. I would say that when comparing the jurisdictions, if you are looking for a permanent residency and a pathway to citizenship and a second passport, then you will need to check whether the law in your country of origin permits dual citizenship, and also check the language requirements and have a plan for implementing that. Many of my clients go for either the UK or the Irish routes, and I'd say one of the advantages to Ireland, notwithstanding what I said, is that there are also alternative visa pathways that don't require your idea to be approved by a committee. You can come in, for example, on a critical skills permit, and you'd have access then both to the UK under the common travel area once you secure citizenship, and also to the European Union under the treaty arrangements. So Ireland for many will be a win-win, but I would say that the UK in terms of processing times is probably among the fastest, along with Portugal. So I hope that's helpful. In tomorrow's live stream, I'll be looking at some of the most recent legislative updates, so do keep an eye on the channel for that. If you do want to contact me for advice or assistance, I'm very happy to help. I have a free consultation service, so you can contact me using the contact details below. You can also subscribe and click the notification bell if you want more videos on this content. I'm doing daily live streams on this and similar topics. Thanks so much for checking in, and I will see you in the next live stream. Bye for now.